Probably did get fouled by Lexi Hull. It looked like it was a flop at the time. I think everyone kind of thought it was a flop, but she did get fouled. Like, I think even the commentators, these were the ultimate homer commentators, didn't see a foul until, in fairness, slow motion, Lexi Hull did kind of get her arm. But Caitlin Clark's obviously saying something to the referee, and DeWanna Bonner is saying challenge.
The basketball match proved to be quite disappointing overall. However, there was one notable moment that stood out. The confrontation between Caitlin Clark and DeWanna Bonner provided some entertainment value during an otherwise lackluster contest. This particular incident ranks among the more amusing episodes of the season, especially considering the circumstances surrounding the poor quality of play that evening. DeWanna Bonner appeared to have been legitimately fouled, though initially it seemed like she was exaggerating the contact.
Is saying challenge or something, because it wasn't being challenged. Basically, I'm guessing DeWanna Bonner is saying basically if it's not a foul, challenge call. And eventually, Caitlin Clark midway brushes off DeWanna Bonner, and DeWanna Bonner stops. DeWanna Bonner stops while walking to her bench, and the two of them are going at it.
Upon closer examination and replay, Alexi Hull did make contact with Bonner's arm, even though the television announcers initially missed the infraction. Clark was clearly expressing her disagreement with the officials when Bonner began demanding a challenge of the call. The situation escalated when Clark dismissed Bonner's protest with a brushing gesture. Bonner then halted her walk toward the team bench, leading to a heated exchange between both players. Coaching staff had to intervene to separate Clark from the confrontation.
The two of them are going at it, continuing to talk, and coaches are having to like restrain Caitlin Clark. Like, hell no, let her at it. Let her at it. Absolutely, let her at it. It is we need something. Like, remember the first time we played this team?
This type of intensity could benefit the team moving forward. During their previous meeting with this opponent, the squad played with championship-level determination and secured a victory against this same Phoenix team. The passion displayed during that earlier matchup demonstrated what the team is capable of achieving. Looking ahead to potential playoff scenarios, facing Phoenix presents significant challenges. The Mercury possesses superior basketball skills, making traditional gameplay an unlikely path to victory.
Remember the first time we played this team? And we played this like it was game 7 of the finals, and we beat them. Remember that? We beat this team. In what was a huge game. So for me, I'm just like, man, we could face this team in the playoffs. Anything that makes this personal, because we are.
Success against such competition would require a more aggressive physical approach. Creating personal rivalries and emotional investment becomes essential when pure talent falls short. The heated exchange serves a strategic purpose beyond mere entertainment. Players engaging in confrontational behavior with opponents can elevate their competitive drive. This intensity becomes particularly valuable when facing teams with superior rosters.
We are not going to out-basketball the Phoenix Mercury if we played them in the playoffs. We're not going to beat this team by playing basketball. It's as simple as that. We're going to have to, if we're going to win a playoff series, it's going to have to be a dogfight. We're going to have to hate every single team we come up against. That is the only way the Fever are going to win. And I don't mind this. I don't mind Caitlin Clark getting into it with other team's players. I really don't. I don't mind players getting into it with each other.
Trade possibilities involving Kelsey Mitchell have emerged as another talking point. Should Mitchell express desire to leave Indianapolis, Phoenix could present an intriguing destination. Potential deals involving Kahleah Copper and draft considerations might create mutual benefits, though such moves would only proceed with Mitchell's approval. The Mercury clearly holds advantages over Indiana in most basketball fundamentals. However, emotional conflicts and personal disputes can level playing fields that talent alone cannot balance.
I don't mind players getting into it with each other. Like, Alyssa Thomas at the end of the game in Kelsey Mitchell's ear, probably come to Phoenix. Yeah, we're not keeping Copper. You know, Kaz kind of not doing much. Come to Phoenix. And that's a really interesting one if you're the Fever. I mean this when I say this. If you're the Indiana Fever, do you accept a Ka Copper?
Bonner's previous comments and competitive history with Indiana players like Hull demonstrate how personal elements influence performance. DeWanna Bonner's departure from Indiana created lasting tensions that continue affecting team dynamics. Her method of leaving the organization without proper communication generated resentment that extends beyond normal competitive boundaries. The situation transformed from professional basketball disagreements into personal conflicts. When players abandon teams through questionable methods, particularly without informing teammates or management appropriately, the consequences extend beyond the court.
Accept a Ka Copper. A Ka Copper and, like, I don't know, a second round pick. Or a Ka Copper and, like, the rights to Kitty Alexa. Or the rights to one of their rookies. In a core and trade for Kelsey Mitchell. Now if Kelsey Mitchell wants to go, that's a real interesting one. That is a really, really interesting one. But
Bonner's handling of her exit from Indiana created circumstances where normal competitive protocols no longer apply. Such behavior crosses professional boundaries and becomes personal territory. The confrontation represents more than typical on-court drama. For Indiana to compete successfully against Phoenix in potential playoff matchups, they must embrace this competitive edge. Superior talent alone will not overcome Phoenix's advantages, but emotional intensity and personal motivation can create opportunities for upsets.
But because obviously you don't make that trade. You don't make that trade unless Kelsey Mitchell wants to leave. But if Kelsey Mitchell wants to leave, that would be a really interesting potential option. If Kelsey Mitchell wants to leave. But in general, though, the Mercury's better than us. I don't mind, again, I don't mind shit talk from either party. I don't mind DeWanna Bonner.
Making games personal provides Indiana with their best strategic advantage. When facing more skilled opponents, psychological warfare becomes a legitimate tactical approach. Creating hostile environments and personal stakes can disrupt superior teams' rhythm and comfort levels. The incident highlights Indiana's necessary approach for playoff success. Rather than attempting to match Phoenix's basketball excellence, creating chaotic, emotionally charged contests gives the Fever their optimal chance for advancement.
And Kate Martin had 10 points without only attempting one 2-point shot. Kate Martin is the funniest basketball player ever. She can't score inside the 3-point line. It's hilarious. But she is money. Yeah, she had 10 points off three 3-pointers and a 4-point play. But yeah, you got Jada Gyamfi, no Monica Zanano there this time. But it's good to see, the Iowa players there. They were there for All-Star Weekend where Caitlin didn't play. It just seems
converting games into battles of will rather than skill competitions shifts advantages toward the less talented but more determined squad. This confrontational approach aligns with Indiana's realistic playoff expectations. Acknowledging talent limitations while maximizing emotional and psychological advantages represents sound strategic thinking. Personal conflicts with key opponents like Bonner can provide the extra motivation needed to overcome skill disparities during crucial postseason moments. The Indiana Fever experienced another challenging defeat, dropping them back to the 8th seed position in what many consider an unfavorable playoff spot.
It's good to see, the Iowa players there. They were there for All-Star Weekend where Caitlin didn't play. It just seems like it's cursed. It seems like it's cursed. If Lisa Bluter's there, it seems like it's cursed. If Gabby Marshall's there, it seems like it's cursed. Heck, when Kate Martin is in the building, it seems like Caitlin Clark can't win a game. It seems like she can't win a game. Like, we all talk about, like, the Kate voodoo and everything. In my opinion, it is the Kate Martin voodoo. It is the Kate Martin voodoo. Because, like, when Kate Martin's there, the Indiana Fever genuinely just cannot win. They cannot
Facing the Las Vegas Aces in the postseason would be particularly difficult, as most teams prefer to avoid that matchup entirely. This loss continued a peculiar pattern involving former Iowa teammates. Kate Martin delivered an outstanding performance, scoring 10 points while making an impressive 3 out of 3 attempts from beyond the arc, including a 4-point play. Remarkably, Martin achieved this scoring output with just 1 attempt inside the 3-point line, highlighting her exceptional long-range shooting ability despite struggles closer to the basket. The game featured several former Iowa players in attendance, including Jada Gamfee, though Monica Czinano was absent this time.
Genuinely just cannot win. They cannot win. And yeah, it's a tough one. It is a tough one to see. Hope to keep that bond for 50 years. No words can explain. Okay. Neither of you two wore a Fever jersey. Why do they wear a Fever jersey? Kate Martin's playing, Caitlin's not. I mean that. Why would they wear a Fever jersey? The core four didn't realize that Gabby is 25. Thought she was CC and Kate's age. Kate's 25. Kate Martin's 25.
These Iowa alumni have been present at various games throughout the season, including All-Star Weekend when Caitlin Clark didn't participate. A strange coincidence has emerged where the Fever seems to struggle whenever these former teammates are present. Whether it's Lisa Bluder, Gabby Marshall, or Kate Martin in attendance, the Indiana team appears to face difficulties securing victories. This phenomenon has become known among fans as a sort of mystical influence, with Kate Martin's presence seeming particularly troublesome for Clark's professional success. The ages of these players often surprise people.
What are we talking about? Gabby Marshall, Kate Martin, Gabby's younger than Kate. Kate was a 6th-year senior. Like, I'm pretty sure Kate was in the same freshman class as Czinano. Gabby Marshall was a super senior. I think, if I'm not mistaken, Kate was a 6th-year senior. But like, we're looking at this as like I have to say, Gabby Marshall has probably reached.
Kate Martin is 25 years old, having been a 6th-year senior, while Gabby Marshall, who some assume is the same age as Clark and Martin, is actually younger. Martin was part of the same freshman class as Czinano, while Marshall completed her career as a super senior. Gabby Marshall has reportedly pursued studies in occupational therapy, making her one of the most recognizable people in that field. Meanwhile, Jada Gamfee seems to attend games primarily for support and camaraderie. Though she was considered a skilled player before joining Iowa, her current role appears more social than competitive.
Am I right in saying she's studying to be an occupational therapist? She is absolutely one of the most famous occupational therapists there is, to be honest. And Jada Gamfee just there for vibes. Just there for vibes. Heard she was a hooper in her day. And her day being before she got to Iowa. Heard she was a hooper. And it's now if Jada Gamfee comes on something, Iowa have won the game. But yeah,
the reunion of these Iowa players holds significant meaning because this team fundamentally changed women's basketball. This particular Iowa squad arguably became the most influential women's basketball team in history. Their championship game against South Carolina drew 14 million viewers, and even when viewership declined in subsequent years, the numbers remained substantially high at around 10 million. This team will likely be remembered similarly to legendary college basketball groups like Michigan's Fab Five. Future documentaries will probably examine how this squad exceeded all expectations, transforming from potential early tournament exits to back-to-back championship game appearances while playing in front of massive audiences.
Yeah, it's good to see them uniting. It's good to see, the Iowa crew back together, because this was the team. This was the team that really did transform women's basketball into the next level. They're the biggest women's basketball team of all time, is this Iowa team. Like, we can say that they had 14 million people watched them against South Carolina. And people are like, oh, it was South Carolina. It was the reason why it was South Carolina. It's like, then why did 10 million people watch? Like, why was the views halved? The views were more.
Originally, this Iowa team was projected for second-round tournament eliminations. Reaching an Elite Eight during Clark's 4-year career would have been considered remarkable success. The presence of players like Megan Gustafson earlier in the program might have changed outcomes, but she graduated 2 years before this team's peak performance. Despite the Fever's recent struggles, including a difficult loss to the Golden State Valkyries, there are positive aspects to consider.
It was the views halved. The views were more than half this year. The views were more than half. But, yeah, it is still kind of crazy that, you know, this team has just been so relevant still to this day. And that's one of the things you kind of just forget sometimes, is that, like, this is going to be a college team on the level of, like, the Fab Five. Like, they're going to.
The current coaching situation under Stephanie White has shown both improvements and setbacks compared to previous leadership under Christy Sides, who seemed to reduce her involvement mid-season. Interestingly, there's speculation about whether players like Gabby Marshall could return to competitive basketball. At 5'9" inches with strong defensive skills and shooting ability, she might be capable of professional play. The precedent exists with players like Kia Vaughn, who took a 2-year break to work in an office before returning to start for the Phoenix Mercury and contribute 7 points per game.
A college team on the level of, like, the Fab Five. Like, they're going to talk about this team. There's going to be documentaries made about this team in 20 years. Like, you know it. You know it. Like, the documentaries are going to be about, you know, this team that kind of came from nothing. They weren't meant to win anything. And suddenly they're playing in football stadiums and having to deal with just being a team while 10 million people are watching every one of their games because they're obviously the most relevant thing, and they got to back-to-back finals and all of that.
Marshall's college resume includes starting roles in multiple championship games. Similar to Vaughn's credentials, a brief stint in overseas leagues could potentially prepare her for a professional comeback. Even Monica Czinano might be considered as a developmental player, particularly in pick-and-roll situations as an offensive specialist. The continued relevance and connection of this Iowa team demonstrates the lasting impact they've had on women's basketball, even as individual players pursue different paths in their post-college careers.